Good.
Yeah. And with these magical words and energy, as we are born ready, me and Soren or Dorian, we are starting our really new, fresh, authentic, diversified show that actually, believe me or not, we're already kind of on the same frequency, but amazing life can be like that. And I always knew that I'm so blessed that God, He's always sending me people, and through these people they are like vessels. They talk to me, they give signals, symbols. I'm always uh, so humble and so touched and praying to Him. So today, the gift of the day for me, by God, it's actually having met this wonderful person who is in my show today, and even and through his art, from his heart, I already felt. Okay, oh my god, okay. I'm not opening all the secrets like in 1 minute, because actually I've been joking with him. Say, oh my god, I'm interviewed and always forget. Listen, I was talking so much. So welcome to the show. Welcome. You want me to use your artistic name, right?
No, no. I mean, you can call me Soren, which is actually my real name. So Soren is closer to my heart, and Dorian actually gives me a distance. In case anyone is criticizing what I do, which is absolutely you're right.
Mhm.
Um, then there, like many artists, actually, Elton John is not Elton John. So it was that kind of thing, and it's one of my best friends back then who said, if you're looking for a artist name, you should choose Dorian Gray. I was like, why? And he said, because we never know when you were born and how old you are. And then it works because a lot of people ask, about age all the time. And it's the thing nowadays. That's why Oscar Wilde, who wrote the picture of Dorian Gray like 136 years ago, was so in advance. He
Mhm.
projected the times we're living in, where actually it's about anti-aging and everybody's freaking out on TikTok and Instagram, like, oh, filters and everything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's about Dorian Gray, but you can call me Soren since we're already friends.
Yeah. Oh, this is so big privilege for me, and because I already like kind of established my connection with Soren, like and then suddenly it was so cool. Suddenly, when we're done with our first conversation today, like go backwards and read actually about your um I don't know how you say your artist identity. I kind of went backwards. I was like, and for me, it felt like so magical. I know this guy. I know the real guy who is behind that. This is much cooler, like, But it's, of course, you are who made these guys. So, okay. Anyway, Soren, Dorian. So, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for giving the most precious
My
commodity
pleasure.
time to us, time and attention to us, to me, to our audience. Feel privileged, honored, humble. Thank you for being with us. Mm, mm. Okay, and then me, I'm saying, and then I've chosen already the title for our episode. Uh, if you like it, we can go with that. If no, we can change afterwards. And the title is "Heard by the Moon" of the multifaceted artist artistic journey of Dorian Gray. It's okay?
Okay, no, of course, it's the name of my first album, and this album changed my life, so it's really
Yeah.
important. And the moon, who was actually full yesterday, if I'm correct, it's really important to me, like it is for a lot of people. It changes mood sometimes, and it's also a guide, and not a lot of people know that we always see the same side of the moon. That's weird.
Yes, it was also interesting for me that actually when you're in the Middle East, right? So we kind of look at her from left in Europe, and they look at her and just
No, no,
right.
no, no. We always see the same side of the moon, no matter where you are.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have. Okay, thank you so much. Again, I'm training my brain muscle today even more. So, welcome back to the Diversity is the Game Changer, the podcast where we explore how diversity in all its forms shapes lives, careers, community goals. Today, we are thrilled to welcome a true Renaissance artist, Soren Sorensen, or Dorian Gray. Born in Geneva, Switzerland, Soren is a Swiss-American singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer, radio commentator, and beautiful inside out soul. I know already because we actually become friends. His musical journey spans decades, genres. Strange word for my like. Yeah,
No
my
problem. It's English, no worries.
yeah, continents from rocking stages with legendary Swiss bands like, is it correct? KGB and how you pronounce Alesia?
Yeah, that must be weird for you now. When we were young, we the younger you are, the most provocative you are. So we wanted to find the name. It's not actually, it's the first band I was in, but it was not my band. I was a drummer in that band, and they were already KGB. It was not my idea, but it worked because, of course, like the age thing, each time we were performing, like, why KGB? And yeah, so that was my very first band when I was 16 years old.
Amazing. You were drowned there, yeah. But again, it was KGB, and am I pronouncing right? Alesia, Alicia,
So, yeah, Alicia, maybe in English, would be my first band that I have actually created with two other of my friends back then. It was a 7-year experience, and it was intense. We produced an album that was quite known in Switzerland and a little bit in Europe. I was super young as well. I started composing songs when I was 16, so because I was a drummer at first, and then I heard music in my head, and there was this piano that my dad was not using anymore. He used it to put some books on it, and it was dusty. So one day, waiting for my parents to be away, and I opened the piano, and I was like, and okay. And after just a week, I wrote a song. So you don't need a lot of techniques, especially with pop music, to write a tune. If you think of the greatest songs of all time, they're quite easy to play. So yeah, I was too shy to play in front of my parents, so I think they discovered 10 years later that I was a keyboard player that maybe had written already 200 songs. And that's my story with instruments. And my first band was actually based on my compositions. I was not the singer. I was the drummer and the composer and the keyboard player of the band. My other mates were guitar player and singer, and we were a trio. And on stage we were 4 people. We had a drummer in addition. So since Phil Collins is my great inspiration, and he lived in Switzerland for 20 years, next, almost a few blocks from where I was rehearsing. So can you imagine that you're growing up with posters of someone, and all of a sudden that someone starts to live close to where you are, when actually he's English, he's not even Swiss. So he started to really become like sort of a Swiss citizen, and I had various moments with him, and that was amazing. So he was specifically a singer drummer, which is actually the two main things in modern music, and it's actually also the two things that you ultimately record in a professional studio, because recording drums is the most complicated thing, and singing as well. You need a great microphone. So these two things are so important in a modern rock, pop, whatever band, because without a solid rhythm section, the rest of the band is not okay. It's like with cooking. If you burn the basics of what you're going to do, everything else is going to taste like burning, like something that burn. And the singer is, of course, the signature of the whole band, because most of the people, they don't know about all the layers of what a band is about. So when you think of Coldplay, you remember about a voice and good tunes, but then there's a lot of things behind that. So Phil Collins was actually like taking the whole band that he was in when he was younger, Genesis, like in a sandwich, like a sausage in a sandwich. And
Mhm.
So you're behind the band with the drum, and you're fronting the band with the voice. So you literally are sealing both sides of the band with something so important. And he inspired me a lot. So I wanted to be Phil Collins. So that's why I started to with drumming. He plays also the piano and also singing. So that's why.
Why? Oh my God. And first of all, thank you so much. I immensely appreciate that you put that nice addition in my introduction. And I'm proud of myself because I was listening to you and not interrupting. So I'm continuing. So it was Alicia to composing for Eurovision, which actually I saw yesterday. And I was, of course, amazing experience and collaborating with, you have already mentioned his name is Ivan Bing, right? Ivan Bing
He
from
was he was,
Finland.
uh, he was actually the sound engineer of my
Mhm,
album Earth by the Moon,
mhm.
and he made all his schooling and learning in New York, working with the greatest like Mariah Carey, Sting, and Phil Collins. Actually, he recorded just after my album, the same studio, the same gear, almost same people. Came and recorded the new Phil Collins album that was actually a Motown cover album, and my mate Yvon actually mixed Phil Collins' album after mine. So that's another crazy story when you think that I was literally inspired and nourished by Phil Collins, and all of a sudden he's like recording with the same people I do, or I am actually, but he came after me. So that's amazing.
Oh my God. So this
Yeah.
the language of magic of universe. And I'm continuing, but I'm still about you now. Not about me, about you. But beyond the melodies and productions, Sovereign's life and artistic story is one of very special identity for me, and I'm sure for many. Transformation and resilience. It's rooted in the deep impact of diverse experiences such as advocacy for human rights and fighting against children genocide, equality and inclusion. Themes that align perfectly with my values, with values of so many people, and the mission actually of my show, our show today. So tune with us how we explore and dive into your future and presence, but of course everything starts always with roots and echo lasting echo of our childhood, right? So I would like you welcome us to the story or kingdom or musician kingdom to little Soren actually, and how your child and your upbringing and yeah and mindset shape the person you have become today. And I can say already and add from my person, you are a magical person with these deep heart values, which is very, very seldom in the modest world. So please tell us about little Soren first. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have like a day? Because it will take a long time.
You know, when we are in come together, we have yeah, we have much time. Oh no, you're performing. Yes, we will find. We will make time for each other.
No, no, I have time to. Of course, and you are actually managing your time. I have all the time in the world to explain about why I became an artist. I mean, first of all, it's not something you calculate. So, I was born to this amazing grandmother who um, actually left Germany because after the war,
Mhm.
everything was destroyed, and there was the new El Dorado, which was New York, and so she went there and she started to modeling because her husband um, was like sort of very tough on her. He said like, okay, you're she's not only beautiful. You saw her. She's beyond beautiful. She's my late grandmother. So she started to model over there, and she was also acting and she was singing. She was doing the whole thing, like you actually learned in the United States. She became an American citizen, and my mother as well. So she was actually my absolute background and reason I became an artist at first because it was the quality time I was living with her as a sort of intellectually molested child. Um, she flew from Los Angeles to Geneva when I was born in Switzerland, sort of by accident, because for a lot of reasons. I would have hoped to um, be born in the US because of the mentality in terms of art, and also the way people are interacting. That's my actually my I'm programmed like that. That's another story. So she took the advantage of me being born to leave her husband and come to Europe, take care of her grandson. So that was me, and she was always singing lullabies to me, and then she was cooking very yummy apple pies,
Mm.
and were being in that garden under that magnificent tree, and listening, constantly listening to the radio back then, a century ago, and we were listening to the radio all the time, and she was singing along, and I was discovering bands like ABBA, which is today are sort of Mozart of modern music, like the Beatles,
Mhm.
even if the Beatles were too ancient for me, I'm precising, but this kind of music was so popular, and that's why I wanted to, when you're a kid, if you want to become a pilot, it's because you love planes, and you're fascinated by something, and music was so magical to me because it was also way for me to seek sort of uh, um, safe place when it was sort of stressful at home.
Mhm.
And I was always doing rhythm all on the table, the kitchen table, and my parents were becoming crazy. They were super intellectual. Although my mother started by being a songwriter in the
Oh
US.
wow. Mhm.
Yeah. Let me just shut down WhatsApp right now, otherwise it's going to be problematic. Um, so yeah, she was writing songs when I was born, and I heard her singing. So my dad was always listening to classical music. I mean, from the moment he was waking up to the moment he went to bed. So I'm quite fed up with the whole thing. It was too much. And my mother was into folk pop music. And but when you're a kid, you absorb everything. Like, you know, most of the religious people, there are great chances that their parents were religious. And it's the same with smoking cigarette. It's a weird parallel, but it's the same. Most of my friends who smoke, there are like 95% of chances that their parents were smoking already. So you are directly penetrated by the environment, and the environment I was growing up in was about music, literature, painting, photography. Yeah, it was a very intense uh, um, thing. So, but I didn't know that it would take me 16 years to finally discover that there was a piano after starting drums, because I was always hitting on the table. So my parents were like, play drums. It's not an easy instrument. It's not easy to have at home. So I was playing elsewhere. But there was a piano that my dad was playing when he was young. And because his mother was a tough mother, my other grandmother,
Mhm.
he made him stop the piano because he started to be too good. That was back then, in the 50s. So,
Mhm.
but the piano was still where I grew up, and he was using the piano to just store his books. So at some point, I was hearing music in my head, but since drums is a percussive instrument, you cannot literally write a song with it. So I was slowly, timidly open the piano, and then starting, and yeah, oh my God, the sound. And then you start to play a chord. And after a week, I composed my first melody with 3 fingers, you know? And like I
Mhm.
told you before, if you think of
Can you
five,
play it now? Can you play it now? The first one.
I don't, you know what? I don't remember exactly. That's a good thing I should have actually prepared long time ago, because I'm explaining this thing all the time. But
Okay.
it was something very simple. Do I
Mhm.
even remember? Maybe not. I remember something quite complex. I don't know. Do you hear well what I'm playing? Um, so something I played I composed maybe after 6 months. It's
Mhm.
actually not a proper piano sound that I'm using now. It's called a Rhodes, but that was quite used within the soul R&B scene. but it's smoother, so it's cool. So this thing that was.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is not with 3 fingers.
So this is quite classical technique. This I wrote 6 months after having started the piano, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, but let me choose a piano sound maybe because it's more efficient. Oh, okay, so it's going to take me a bit of a adjustment here. But yeah, actually, playing was quite natural to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I started write songs, and it took a lot of time for me to be able to express them because first of all, I started to be a drummer for several bands, and I remember that it happened to many other future composers. But I was like, I think the songs are okay, but I have maybe something that I should introduce to my bandmates. But of course, the ego when you're young and even later, it's really important. So everybody was like, "Oh yeah, you're a drummer. Uh, you're not a composer." I was like, "Why are you saying that? Let me just send you. Oh, please listen to something I've composed." And it took years, but at some point, one of my songs made it to the set list, and it's a song that actually every girl back then liked. And
Oh,
when
wow.
I don't remember this one as well, but yeah. So now I have the piano sound. So do you hear it well?
Yeah.
So this was the melody.
I love my piano class now and concert. Private concert.
So that's quite tricky because both hands are actually on each other, like beautiful sexual intercourse between two hands. I don't know, it was in me, but I never went to the super classical thing because I was a self-taught pianist, and what was important for me it was to write songs. Like that's not me, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So this song, which is one of the most, Let It Be is one of the most important songs ever. But look, I'm going to use 3 fingers, and you that.
Which one? Show me which 3.
So ideally, these 3.
No, I mean like these 3.
These 3 is a bit.
When I come to Cannes, you should learn me. Okay, 3. Mm-hmm. No way.
3. That would be ideal. Okay, so this with my hand here, I can do only with 3 fingers. You see?
But you also use your feet.
So so you see how easy it is to play.
For you, yes, for you.
I could teach you that in less than an hour.
Okay, I'll try in Cannes Festival. You teach me. We have a deal.
I'll show you one day. So there are people who can play these. I mean, most of the people I could teach most of the people that song in less than an hour. Okay, of course you're gonna forget. You're gonna have to go back to it, but you will be able in less than an hour then doing exactly what I did, possibly not with the moves, just that, but you will be able to do it. But then you have the people who compose these songs, and that's another story. Where does this idea come from? How come Paul McCartney is Paul McCartney? How come everybody is someone else? This is the mystery that nothing on this planet ever, I think, will replace. I'm using AI. The reason we're going to meet in Cannes is AI. The reason I play at the UN, and I will tell you that later, was AI at first. But AI is nothing that we should fear about or of, because like with anything else, a knife, anything you have in your hands, what counts is who you are and how you wake up in the morning. What are your intentions? So with the knife, you can cut your food, bread, meat, whatever, but you can also kill someone. Well, that's your intention. That's not what you have in your hand. So AI is exactly the same. Now everybody's freaking out. This big symposium at the UN I was part of recently was also about big questions about AI.
Mhm.
At some point, I was like not thinking that I was so superior to everybody else because I'm surely not. But the answer is very simple. There's no fear to have because, again, it's all about our intentions. So if your intentions are good, your intentions are good, you're going to do good things with whatever you have in your hands, So that's what I'm trying to do with my fingers and my piano. Instead of doing, you know, I'm trying to be a bit more sensitive and bring something on the table. I know I'm not going to change the world, but I think that after 1,500 or almost 2,000 songs, maybe, and it's not only maybe, I went from Eurovision to United Nations, and I'm very proud of that because it's big events, with a lot of viewers and listeners. And if you can put a message into that, it's great. But about your question, when it was how it started as a kid, it was my grandma. Then I was self-teaching myself. I went into several bands. Finally, I could, when I was 20 or 19, start my own band. And during 7 years with an album and a lot of other demos and a lot of shows, it was all my songs. Sorry, now there's a noise behind me. I'm going to cut this as well. This is the internet, people.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I became a songwriter. That's what I was maybe always at first. Um, I was meant to create stuff, and I have a hard time being a good cover person. I'm good at what I'm doing, but don't ask me to sing Michael Jackson. I'm a fan, but no, I'm doing some covers. But that's also something I'm advising people to do. If you cover a song, most of the time try to cover a female song if you're a man, or the other way around, because you solve a major problem. It's the direct comparison to the
Mm.
same lyrics. So if you're a young woman and you try to sing Ariana Grande, which is one of my favorite artists, um, you're going to fail ultimately because the first thing people are going to wanting to do is just swipe to the next one because you're a woman and you're trying to sing Ariana Grande. I made 4 covers of Ariana Grande, and there you have a surprise because first of all, I'm a man. I'm not going to try to sing like her. I'm going to make her song mine. Her song's mine, and that something that is an advice I'm giving right now. So I'm good at being myself, and that's what I'm going to try to do on this 22nd of May at the Majestic in Cannes.
Perfect. First of all, I would like to thank you for the sharing your family story. It's so beautiful to be able to get evidence through this really strong bond and heritage through your family, and how much work you are putting in your words when explaining about your grandmother and your family. I love the idea you shared that your mom was into songwritings, and my question, but I didn't want to interrupt you there, that whether you also try to play your mom's song, or do you know any songs she wrote? Is it?
That's a very intense questions because the link with my mother was never good, and that's very. I know it can be shocking because most of the people, because everything comes from the mother, men
Mhm.
or women, we come from mothers, so they are very important in the whole life process. And mine was not really the best mom, but when I remember when I found her tape, something like that, I was still able to play the tape somewhere, and I actually wrote a melody on one of her lyric sheets that I found. But that is also a lost song. I don't even know where it is. I thought back then that I could connect with my mom through this collaboration without AI back then. Just
Mhm.
trying. And your question is very deep. It's the first time ever in my whole career that someone asks me this very question. So that is something that will make me remember. I mean, you will be remembered for the rest of my life.
Mm.
So no, the link was really with my grandmother, um, and that's for a lot of people because grandmothers, they don't play the same role in a family. So you can
Mhm.
always run to them and say, you know, mommy or daddy was mean to me, and the grandmothers are like unconditionally loving you, which
Mhm.
their parents. I mean, it's supposed to be the case, but the parents are there to educate you. I mean, it was the case. I don't think it's anymore in Occident, you know, but um, now you have kids who are just mean with their parents. I mean, it's just something that drives me crazy.
Mhm.
But yeah, I suffered quite a lot from the way I was raised. And my grandmother was a refugee camp for me. And she really gave me all the good energy to become the creative person I'm today, actually. But yes, there was an attempt to write a song on my mom's melody, or the other way around, to write a melody on my mom's lyrics. Yeah, that was it.
Thank you, first of all, that you still gave me a good reflection and comment, and that I was actually touching something very deep, which
Yeah,
I
then you can.
actually is very important for us because my child also was actually impacted by a lot of trauma, and I believe it's really what molds and shape us. I'm so happy that you found the way you can express your feelings. That's why probably you already produced. It's the way to proceed actually your world, and probably all the emotions you had to stable, like to compound when you were a child. You couldn't actually probably understand and reflect and do something with the situation, but through the music now you can heal your soul and your real effect, because healing and message what you are doing now, it's contagious and you're really making impact, because music and art is uniter. And what you say, I'm so glad you've touched this topic, because it's true. Many people now, they're really, because also of lack of knowledge and actually intention to dive into the knowledge, they are so afraid of that. Believe me or not, it was kind of coincidence, but not. I've been moderator, like conferencier for the big, biggest Nordic summit in Oslo last autumn. And then I had really to dive very deeply in this subject. And first I called to one very well-known specialist and asked him, is it also, my question was, is it dangerous or not? And then he told me the same. I love your comment. You have already brilliant actually put it. I just want to add one sentence. He said, Valeria, this is nothing new about EI. This is nothing new about any type of weapon, like money, like food, like industrial revolution gave us cars or atomic bomb. It's always about hands who is actually possess that, right? Because even money, if it's in the hands of the bad person, it can make so much harm to the universe. We then don't need to EI. It's the not about weapon or toolkit itself. It's about, like you said, intention and the hands, in which hands actually this weapon. So if the intention and purpose to do something good, which is in medical domain, or a lot of different things, which actually still we human beings can have some fails. So actually it's security, but and vice versa, of course, if it's in the hands of bad people, so then it's dangerous. And again, it's like music, the same. God gave you this skill, first of all, for yourself, for your soul, and now it's you're a vessel, God's vessel, to produce something with your divine talent, to impact. It's exactly what you're going to do. You've made in the UN, you're going to do that in the Cannes Festival, right? And I'm now my next question, because I was really deeply touched by the song you have magically created. Before I now started my show, I would like really to welcome our audience to the experience of your presented and UN, and actually the whole meaning of the music in your life, because music in my world and art, it's actually how it's the most powerful inclusivity tool between diverse thoughts and generation, cultures, religion, right? We have already discussed that in our podcast about diversity. So how you can elaborate about diversity, inclusion, and the music? Thank you.
Oh, okay. So music saved me when I was enduring a harsh education. Um, Music saved a lot of people. And what I didn't know is that I had the ability or power to help people with what I'm creating, because I always felt, because of the way I was raised, I felt useless. I felt bad, not good enough. And a lot of traumas, like you said, a lot of PTSD. So when my first album came out, Hurt by the Moon, as Dorian Gray, because before that I did a lot of things like Eurovision. I was not singing the song. I was writing and composing it and representing Switzerland for sure. Because what a lot of people don't know is that Eurovision is a contest that's rewarding the composers and the writers, not the singers. So this is really important to know. This is also why Celine Dion was able to win for Switzerland in 1988, because she's not Swiss, obviously. So it's a contest that is rewarding the composers and the writers. So having said that, at some point when I released Hurt by the Moon 15 years ago, was a long time ago. I was so young. And I received I received an email from this young guy, uh, not not middle aged, but almost. It's still young, but he was experienced. I think he had kids, and he wrote in an email he found, because my email was public, my professional email, and it was a long text. And in this text, he said to me that my music saved his life. So I was like, okay, thank you. It's a very intense sentence. No, it was a real thing. He was about to commit suicide. So it was not only like saying, "Oh, you saved my life. I like or I love you." No, it is literally he was about to do it. Not only saying it, because a lot of people who say it, they don't do it, and the people who do it, they never said anything about it. And I lost one of my best friends 2 years ago in Los Angeles by suicide. So I know the feeling of losing someone like that, but back then I didn't. But I wanted to make sure it was a real email, because it's very, very important when someone says something like that, and you better not lie about death and major subjects, you know. So he confirmed. I think we met after one of my shows. But what's crazy is that a year later, like, it was a woman of the same age who wrote the same to me. So once again, to say it properly, I saved someone's life with my music. So each time it's then, and there's a lot of times where there are a lot of times where I'm doubting, and the lack of confidence is coming back, especially during COVID, or if someone leaves you that you still love, or shit like that, you know. And then your self confidence is completely regressing. And then I remember these two, not only one person, these two people who said properly that they're still alive, I guess, that they actually stopped the process of trying to kill themselves because of my music. So that was that's something now when I'm like, what am I here for? What is the purpose of my life? I don't have kids. What do I have created except songs? And songs nowadays, that they become just a noise. You know, it's volatile. Everybody's stealing music on the internet since 20 years, 25 years. So that's something I have to remember about. And when I actually worked with the International Committee of the Red Cross in 2010, 9, 10, composing music for their anti-war propaganda movie, So that was way before the UN thing. And then last year, I walked with Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, and finally this year, 3 weeks ago exactly, I had the chance to um, not only speak but play at the United Nations in Geneva, second headquarters, when it was actually built before New York, if I'm correct, um, which is the headquarters. And it was in the human rights room, conference room, where actually, if I'm correct, of course, almost all the presidents and possibly Nelson Mandela and all these people spoke way before me. And I was able to speak. I was there to play, to speak about my AI project that is still under the name of Dorian Gray. It's called the 20 version song. One of my former radio colleague, when I was a radio DJ as well, Phil Moonviller, had this brilliant idea of declining my song and my single Souvenir that came out a year and a half ago, that you can find on everywhere on YouTube and Spotify, as well as the other song I'm going to talk about. So he was like, you are like every artist, you have your style, you have your kind of voice, but what if we give a chance, 19 more chances to your song to be known with 19 other versions, which would make with my version 20 version song. So we used AI to produce 19 versions in flamenco style, Russian style, whatever we could produce. And that's online. It's 20 with the 2020versonsong.com. You can vote, listen to all the versions. It's something that we created a few months ago. And this 2-day panel at the UN about artificial intelligence was brought to me by Wise Key and the artistic subgroup Wise Art that I signed with a year ago. Wise Key was built by Carlos Cruz Moreira, who's one of the 25 people who has contributed to build the World Wide Web, the internet.
Ooh.
So when I signed the contract, it was his name and my name. So that was a year ago in Geneva, because internet was invented between France and Switzerland at the CERN, the nuclear research, amazing place. So I'm trying to be as concise as I can, but I'm signing this contract. I'm meeting the amazing 16 Crutchfield, which is an amazing woman. She spent 35 years in the contemporary art field, but not the AI, the real thing, with paintings she was traveling with. She lived in Australia for almost 20 years. She was also a radio DJ, and she knows pretty much everything about art. She's an open book. It's amazing. And we met by accident in a art gallery in Geneva, and immediately we had this great feeling. And she brought me to Wise Art, which is actually directing, and it was in the Wise Key building. Wise Key, who's actually currently working with Elon Musk and SpaceX program. So 10 days ago, I was literally in a office with a rocket in my hand, the small version of this rocket that actually this business I signed a contract with is launching along with Elon Musk. So this brought me to the UN, and thanks to 16, Carlos, and the whole Wise Key team, to give me this chance among 250 artists that are represented at Wise Key and Wise Art, to be part of this 3-people panel, which was 16 Debbie, who gave me the opportunity to play on the 22nd of May at the Majestic in Cannes. So this is also why this happened, because we were the only 2 artists speaking on the stage. But me playing live was absolutely not something that was planned. I was in contact. Now you see, I can talk more than you. But actually, I'm the one who's interviewed. So I was in contact with the organizer, the technical organizer of the whole UN panel during 2 days in Geneva. She was in New York, And that's what I love with this culture. That is also my culture. The Anglo-Saxons have a tendency to say yes at first, when in Europe we say no. So I'm a yes person, and good. Yeah, that's why we connect so good.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to test you after this interview to see if you're a yes person. I'm joking.
And I, at least I'm a little bit more yes listener than no before.
Right, that's always good because, like I say, when you say yes, you can always say no. But if you start with a no, you cannot say yes. So I think the yes attitude is good. So this woman, I was like talking about the technical requirements for the UN, and all of a sudden I was like spontaneously saying, "Oh, uh, Julie, do you think I can play live? It's not a live venue. It's an international geopolitical, political president, whatever place where these people talk about very important matters." And she said, "Yeah, why not? You just have to talk with the technician over there, and if it's possible, then play." That's simple. This is how simple the situation was when in my own town, since many decades, I have a hard time to achieve something because everybody's always jealous, criticizing what I do, and saying no.
I
So,
know.
so it was a yes, a very simple yes. So when I called the technician, he was like, "Oh, okay, if you have to do that." So he thought that was something that was already
Yeah.
like a command. So he said, and then that's what's crazy. I was programmed on a very date, and she said, the organizer on WhatsApp, "Why don't you come the day before? And we have a sound check, you know." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like in the with the real concerts, like testing my sound before I play and before any conference is going to start. So all of a sudden, I passed the security, which is even more intense than taking a plane nowadays when it's already intense. So it was like a 20 minutes check and everything, and you go through, then you have a badge, and you're free to go. And all of a sudden, and I can tell you that you can see that on the images on my video, when you enter this human rights conference room, it's huge. It's huge. There's an amazing fresque, so sort of painting on the ceiling. It's just amazing. And all of a sudden, we are just five people there when you can have hundreds. And I'm setting up my keyboard. And what was my plan? It was not to play Souvenir, which is my 20 version song,
Yeah.
was to play In Her Father's Arms, which is my brand new song. And for the first time ever, I dared to blend an important matter with the music, which is super tricky to do.
Hmm.
I'm a great fan of Michael Jackson, of course, I told before, and Lionel Richie. Both of them wrote We Are the World in 1985.
Hmm.
And it's a great model for me, and major artists participated to that. They tried to change the world. And of course, it's not that simple, but and it's a genius called Bob Geldof, who's an English, uh, what we call today artivist. So it's artist activist. Blend. That's the English language. It's beautiful how what you can do with it and play. Uh, who organized this huge event in 1985 called Live Aid? I
Yeah.
think to date, I think that was never beaten. Even the
Hmm.
Super Bowl is not doing that much. So it was a 17-hour show on both continents with all the artists in the world. And that was something that's something that is now more than ever on YouTube that the younger generation can discover. It was remastered. It's amazing how they could save all this important moment. That was for me my inspiration to finally be able myself to create my own We Are the World for the children dying during wars. We can speak about Ukraine. We can speak about Gaza, which is my main concern right now. And because of why are we, and when I say are we, some people are killing children. When my grandmother was experiencing war, children were not a target. they were a collateral damage. But I don't remember any dictator in the past who was specifically targeting women and kids.
Yeah.
That is what's happening in Gaza right now. I never saw that before. I mean, it was a group of people, it was nationalities, it was religion, but most of the time, the moral, that's a weird thing to say, that to actually have moral codes in wars, but because
Yeah.
is war a
Not
moral?
towards genocide. It's not for war. When, like you said, sorry, my interruption. It's this moral code,
Yeah,
military.
they're
But
more codes.
genocide is exactly what we
Yeah,
experienced.
which is no women, no kids, right? It's a thing between men who are actually going to war.
So,
That's what
yeah.
we saw most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, okay, this is even what I said now is too much. You can have people who want to try to argue about that, and it could go really far if it was like surrounded by 10 people. They would be like, oh, you're going too far, Soren, and this and that. So I was looking for the ultimate subject that would not be religion, that would not be politics, that would not be trying to know if it's Ukraine or Palestine that is more important. I think we don't care about that. Everyone is important. But one thing that we all can agree on is kids. That's what I actually said at the UN. The same sentence almost. Kids, apart maybe, except a few degenerate people, pedophiles, uh, is the subject we can all agree about. There's the, there's almost no chance that you will be anywhere on this planet with someone saying, "Oh, it's cool. They have killed children." Um, so I could finally write about a subject that is a metaphor to everything else, where no one will criticize my fucking song because it's about children. And no matter what is their religion or their color, whatever, uh, it's kids that are dying because of adult crap.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my song, In Her Father's Arms. Then I've dedicated this song at the UN to Francesca Albanese, who's actually a UN person who's speaking for the population of Palestine. Um, and she's a very heroic person because she's death threatened every day. She's a woman, and uh, and she's going all around the world. And she as well is not focusing only on this matter. She also says, war and genocide. No, stop it. And kids. So I I surprised pretty much everybody with dedicating this song because I didn't tell anyone, and I played with a small keyboard, 2.5 octaves, the song In Her Father's Arms. And all of a sudden, all these Chinese people and people from all over the world listened to me. And I was not even realizing that I was playing a song, a pop song, in the human rights, conference room during 3 minutes, and that will be for the rest of my life one of the 5 highlights of my whole life. And at the end of the song, 2 or 3 people from several countries came to me, thanking me for having said what I said and sing that song. And it's pretty close to these 2 people who sent me the email 15 years ago about committing suicide. Yes, it's not easy to achieve. Some people say I'm taking risks, but what is a risk when you talk about children? So then, like religion, actually, you can read religion, and then it is again, like I said about AI before. How are you going to apply religion? Like most of the time on this planet, it was leading to war and killing people. But pure people who respect religion, their intentions are good, but there are some freaks and sick people who are writing in between the lines, the sentences, and they see something else than what is actually written. So that people can do with my song as well, but it's truly a song about the kids who are unfairly dying. So I was really long on that one, but it's dear to my heart. It's really important. My wish is that a lot of artists in every possible language in the world will cover song, and at some point be able, like Bob Geldof back then, to reunite artists around this cause. But something is crazy is when you try to achieve that, especially during these times with what is happening in Palestine, Ukraine and Palestine in proper order, uh, then everyone is afraid. So this is something I don't understand. I'm trying to play the naive one. And I was also warned. Sometimes it depends where, um, possibly in Cannes, to be careful about what I'm going to say. So that's the times we're living in. And but UN is something, that was healing all these concerts I didn't do because of COVID. It was not 2 years. It was in actually four. Then because you have to rebuild, and the first people who are benefiting from the uh, getting out of the COVID years are not musicians, not artists. So for us, it took more time to
Mhm.
adjust. And we are the fifth year now after COVID, and it's finally now that I'm playing again and doing things. So I lost a lot of time, but maybe not, because there's something with the body, and I'm not going to make weird parallels, but if you stop doing something for a while and you do it again, it is even stronger. So that's why when I stopped writing uh, and composing, all of a sudden, Souvenir and then In Her Father's Arms, in less than a year, Distance came out, and it was not about quantity but quality. And next question, if you still have one.
Now my question: do we have a day? Yes, because I have so many questions still. Just and I do love talking
Thank
to you.
you.
We have maybe before this push the record button, or you jump in the talk, because I'm definitely on yes culture, like you are an Ukrainian. We are like yes, yes, yes. We are born yes, So first of all, again and again and again, I would like to thank you so much on behalf of all nations, generations, religions, country, continents. Be you for being you, for being this magical, vessel which was given the special talent, and you're bringing it so peacefully, so honestly. Like you said, you have to have so much resilience and strength, because music and being creative and artist,
Yes.
now times, you have to all the time deal with your self esteem. It's like kind of very special long path all the time, because you have to build yourself over and over again, and it ups and downs. And I'm so happy that you're using your voice for making the impact in this world. And I know about Ripple. In fact, there is no small cases, there is no small voices or small actions. It's huge, it's big. If you could save already one life, I am neurodivergent. We have thought about people who has all these uh, challenge, especially now. And we know people like me with disorders or spectrum, we even more vulnerable because of that, and we are even more close to the suicide, depression, um, even not just suicidal thoughts, intentions, but actually attempts. So can you imagine that you're born, you're given here to the planet to be safer? Your voice and your music, it's salvation. So I'm very privileged and blessed and honored that I have met you. It's a big privilege. So
No,
please
yeah. This is
be
too much. Thank
yourself. Be yourself. Always believe and remember, even in all those days, like it's again you're human, and it's a beauty of your soul that you still human, you still doubt, you still hesitate, you still need to um, make some reflections, because some people also, you know yourself, then when they earn a little bit of success, right, they are so two-way quickly like this that they forget very easily that it's
You're right.
life is, but you are not like that. So it's also very, very important that you reflect on your self, right? So I'm so happy that I have met you now. I'm even more looking forward to meet you, and first of all to give you a hug, very, very deep um, hug, and thank you for this song. And I really do wish this song will be like covered and played. And I'm so looking forward to listen you and like embrace the energy while you will be doing that alive. And I
Yeah,
hope one day
nothing like
we
the
can
live
make
thing. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing like the live thing, playing in front of a screen like I do every Sundays on my Instagram, Dorian Gray Land, is good. But again, it's not the real thing. So yeah, I will play finally again live at the Majestic, and you'll be there, and it will be filmed, and I'll put that online later. Um, but it's really important, and I'll play in her father's arms.
Yeah. My last tradition, which is we have been talking, we didn't have much time now, but about our inner child, how important to always be in connection with our inner child the whole life. And I'm doing that every day. So we start from childhood, and sometimes it's not very light subject, but at least I try to uplift always. And I have my vice president here. This is vice president of my podcast, you see.
Cool.
And you
Alex.
know, right? This is Genie Magical Lamp. She is yes, she's strict one, not like three wishes like in the Aladdin,
Yeah.
but sustainable approach that to make as many wishes as possible for all my guests. So my last question for today would be that Soren eller Dorian Gray, if he had the possibility to make one wish for my Genie vice president, what that wish would be?
Stop killing children.
Yeah. Thank you, my darling. This is, it doesn't need any addings or comments. So Soren, thank you so much again for sharing your story, a symphony of identities, beats, and breakthroughs. Your journey is testament to how embracing difference, whether thoughts, backgrounds, with approaches of three fingers, you owe me to learn, backgrounds of braids truly change the whole life and games and souls. And to our listeners, let's continue to build a more inclusive, empathic world where the most values in our heart, like the wish you have wished now, it should be our like red line. We should really not forget that. So because we should be open, we should be open in our hearts, and then everybody can win together. So thank you for staying with us until next. I think next will be after Cannes Festival. So me and Soren, we wish you to follow us on Cannes Festival, right?
Um, yeah. I didn't hear you because it's cutting. Can you repeat the question?
Ah, no, it was not a question. I just think our audience said next time it will be this my episode. It's
Got it.
last
Yeah.
episode, and I said that you and me we meet each other from Cannes Festival, and then I ask my audience like to stay tuned and get more excitement, no news from there when we are going to make really impact and help the planet.
Hopefully, and before I forget to follow my art wherever you are, it's always slash Dorian Gray Land, like Disneyland.
Mhm.
Dorian Gray Land. And that is always me, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, slash Dorian Gray Land. And otherwise, if you type Dorian Gray, it's going to be Oscar Wilde, which is good as well. You have to read that book, The Picture of Dorian Gray. But he was timeless, sort of, but I'm not. So there's an urge to discover my art and an urge to share the song In Her Father's Arms. Yeah. and to cover it if you're a musician and singer.
You are also through the ages, because what you're creating now, it will be also ageless, as long we have your art, your heart by your art, so you are. So thank you again. I'm so blessed I met you, and yes, wish you still a wonderful evening.
You as
Yes,
well.
because at the end of the day, we live just right now. The past, it's already gone. Future, we don't know. But to be present and happy and grateful, the most important. I'm very grateful for this day. This day brought you in my life, and the beautiful song ever. I'm going to listen now again and present to my mom.
Oh, cool. I'm going to send you the two versions that you can actually find on my Instagram with a little video that is a little bit harsh because it's a war situation, but I can send you MP3s anyways on your WhatsApp. And you can share. But the best is for people to go on Spotify and Amazon to buy it.
Yeah.
It's also important to raise money. And
Yeah.
I a wish to create a sort of association and stuff, but that's still in process. We'll talk about that when I see you around kids and the harming kids. It's not only at war this time. It's about another song that is called Jane, and that's about any abusive behavior towards kids. So that is something that is very dear to my heart as well. So, but the common point is do not touch kids because kids are like fresh paint. So you have to leave fresh paint until it dries. But if you touch the fresh paint, there's going to be a mark. And then the paint is going to dry with the mark. So
Yeah.
this is the metaphor with kids. If you touch a kid one way or another in a bad way before the paint is has dried, the mark is going to remain for the rest of his life. And to remove that mark, that means to repaint. And when you repaint just a portion of a painted wall, you will always see the difference. So it will leave a mark forever. So don't touch the fresh paint. Leave it until it's dry.
Yeah. And now I don't have any comments. So powerful message. Don't touch kids.
Don't
Bye bye.
touch.
Don't touch. Bye.